Good evening, class. Today we will continue to review relative clauses, which you have been learning and practicing throughout your module this week. Now, we have already gone over dependent and independent clauses, so this is an example of a dependent clause. Let's get started with a brief definition. Now, a relative clause is a kind of dependent clause. It has a subject and a verb, but can stand alone as a sentence. It is sometimes called an adjective clause because it functions like an adjective. It gives more information about a noun. Now, remember, we've already gone over parts of speech. Adjectives was one of them, and noun was another one. Let's continue. Now, and let me start with the warm-up. Now, let's look at these sentences. The following sentences are all correct. The words in blue are all pronouns. What nouns do they refer to? How does a noun affect the choice of the pronoun? Now, look at the first example, letter A. We helped the man. He was lost in the woods. Now, class, we have two different sentences here. We have he, which is in blue, which we talked about earlier. The words in blue are all pronouns. But he refers to the same person in the first sentence. So we want to put them together. And a good way of doing it is using a relative clause. Now let's look at the first example. We helped the man who was lost in the woods. We helped the man that was lost in the woods. Now, this is a pronoun in this case. This is used like a pronoun. But remember, we're using a relative clause within a relative clause. But this is still a pronoun. Now, who are we referring to? The man. And that's how we link two sentences together using a relative pronoun in a relative clause. Now, another example or another pronoun form that we can use in the relative clauses is that. We helped the man that was lost in the woods. So we're still referring to the same man. Okay, let's look at another example. It says, the new computer is fast. It is in my office. Now, the pronoun in blue is still referring to the noun, the same noun, the new computer in the first sentence. But we want to use a pronoun, a relative pronoun, in a relative clause. So let's look at this one. The new computer, which is in my office, is fast, which refers to the new computer. And we're using that relative pronoun in a relative clause. Now let's look at another way. The new computer that is in my office is fast. And let's look at that. This is another relative pronoun form that we can use. And we're still referring to, of course, the new computer. That relative pronoun in a relative clause. Okay? So these are just two examples that you see here. Okay? Let's go to the next slide. Now, these are the main relative pronouns that we are using throughout this week, that we have been using throughout this week. And we are still using it We will continue to use them next week. And these are the relative pronouns. Remember, these relative pronouns connect clauses together. And let's go over each one. Who, whose, whom, which, that, were, when. Now let's look at who. Who refers to people, and that's subject form, right? Whose refers to possessions. Whom, objects of the verb. Which, things and ideas. That, people and things. Where, for places. And when, for times. Now let's look at some examples. Now, you can choose one of the following pronouns. Who, that, which, it, he, why, you, my, we. But remember, we are still using the relative pronoun form. For example, let's look at the first one, the first example. I met the doctor that helped my father after the accident, or I met the doctor who helped my father after the accident. Well, class, we can use both. Remember that is an informal way, it's an informal relative pronoun to refer to an individual, but we can still use it. Who is a much more formal way to refer to the noun doctor. I met the doctor who helped my father after the accident. Let's look at number 2. Where is the magazine? Which has the story about online theft. Where is the magazine that has the story about online theft? Now, remember students, once again, these are still relative pronouns. These are still relative pronouns, but that is an informal way to refer to a magazine, which is still referring to the magazine, but it's just a much more formal way to use. Let's look at number 3. Did I tell you about the car salesman who tried to sell me a defective radio? Or did I tell you about the car salesman that tried to sell me a defective radio? Once again, we can use who, or we can use that. Let's look at another example. The house that is across the street from us is going to be rented soon. The house which is across the street from us is going to be rented soon. Again, we can use that, and we can use which. Now remember, again, these are relative pronouns, and they refer to the noun that comes before them, okay? They refer to the noun that comes before each relative pronoun, okay? Let's look at the difference here. Whoops. Sorry about that. Just slipped. I met the doctor who, okay? This is a noun right here. Who, okay? I did not hear what you said. Hear is a verb. We use what you said. So what are you referring here? You're referring to the verb in this sentence. And in this sentence, you're referring to the noun. Who? I met the doctor who. Sorry about that. Just slipped away. Now, tomorrow, we will continue with punctuating relative clauses. Now, make sure you complete the assignments. The assignment, I believe, practice 1 and 2, and then we will review and continue with punctuating relative clauses. So that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.